Hello. What to sow in August? I'm Liz Zorab and this is Byther Farm. What seeds can I sow in August? Well, there are plenty of them. And today we're going to have a look at a few of the seeds that you can sow in the open ground or into modules outside in August. And I'll start by reminding you that you'll need to adjust your sowing times according to the area that you live in. This bed has got strawberry plants going into it, so these are runners that I have taken from older plants or older plants that I've divided to rejuvenate. But in between them there are some spaces that I can get some seeds in. Beetroot seeds can be sown now. You may want to cloche them or cover them later in the year to let them mature, or you can leave them in the ground and harvest them very early next year. I'm going to sow a few beetroot in between these strawberries. The beetroot should have come out of the ground long before the strawberry plants need the space. And beet leaves, like chard, can also be sown now, and they should grow quite happily. You can harvest the young leaves for salad, or you can let them grow on a bit and have the mature leaves as a green vegetable. The carrot seeds that I sowed a month ago are now up, so I've got a nice row of little seedlings here, and I'm going to be planting some more today. You can continue to sow more carrots throughout August. You might not get large carrot roots to harvest, but baby carrots are even sweeter. All the seeds I'm talking about can be sown directly into the ground outside. Just sow them very thinly, and if you need to, you can then thin them out at a later stage, or you can sow them into modules and plant them out as soon as they're ready. You can sow spring cabbages, so I'm sowing a variety called April. I'm thinking about filling the hungry gap, that space between April, May, June, where most of the winter harvests are over, but the summer harvests haven't started yet, and the choice and the variety of foods that are available is more limited. So anything that I can grow now that I know I will be able to harvest then, that's just a bonus. I'm also going to be growing some kale. Now, I'm not going to be growing this for its large leaves for eating. I'm growing this to just be able to use the baby leaves, so I will sow it quite thickly, and then I'll cut the baby leaves and use them in salads and in stir fries. I'm not very keen on the large leaves of kale, not even as kale chips, but in salads I really like them to give a different taste and a different texture to my salad leaves. And fennel can be sown now. We're not growing any because I haven't been very successful in growing them, and Mr. J is not totally keen on the flavour, so I'm going to dedicate the space that might have had fennel in it to growing some more carrots. Another seed to sow in August is winter lettuces. A variety like Winter Density will grow on through the cooler weather, supplying you with salad leaves, hopefully right through the winter. Last year I grew Winter Density both in the polytunnel and in the garden. And the ones in the polytunnel did much better because they were in that secluded, sheltered environment. But the Winter Density that was grown in the garden went right through the winter, and I was able to harvest some small but very tasty vegetables in the early spring. If you have any gardening or homesteading questions that you'd like answered, why not join us over on Patreon for our live chat next weekend? Mr. J and I will be answering as many of your questions as we can. If you haven't already joined us over on Patreon, I'll leave a link on the screen and in the information below. Here in the corner of a brassica tunnel, I've got a little bit of space, and so I'm going to sow some Chinese cabbages. And I've been asked, how do I sow cabbages in the ground and keep them spaced out? I literally just take my time and sow one seed, and I just allow them to drop one at a time from my fingers. And so I'm spacing them out about 1.5 to 2 inches apart. And a few of them are a bit closer. That's okay. If plants come up that are too close together, I can thin those out by gently pulling on the seedlings, and then I can use those in salads or stir fries, or add them to the compost heap. This one's a variety called Wong Bok. There's a whole host of Chinese cabbages that you can sow now. And remember, I'll leave links to all the seeds I've talked about in the video description. with links to suppliers in the UK and in the USA. Leafy vegetables for winter harvesting can also be sown, so something like endive. But I also grow corn salad, so that's lamb's lettuce, but I'll wait a little bit longer before I sow that one. I'm just harvesting the last of the spring onions from this bed. This was a variety called Guardsman, but Performer is another good one. They've grown very well in this bed, so I'm going to pop in a row at the other end of the bed. But these ones have been growing with some carrots, and I alternated rows of carrots and spring onions, so in the hope that the smell of the spring onions would hide the carrots from any carrot root fly. And growing them in alternate rows seems to have worked so well. I'm now going to repeat that at the other end of the bed. This year, for the first time, I've grown onions from seeds. So this, it's in here, is a variety called Bedfordshire Champion. I'm really pleased that they have come from seed. They're still quite small, and they haven't started flopping over yet to tell me that they're ready to harvest. I think maybe I should have sown them a little earlier in the year. But anyway, I'm very pleased with how they've done. Both these and the shallots that I've tried growing from seed have worked very well. So I'm going to be growing some overwintering onions from seed, and the variety are Sensu Yellow. They can be sown now into a seed bed outside, and you don't need very much space for a seed bed, just a couple of inches or so, just maybe for one row. You don't need to worry too much about spacing them out because they're going to be moved. So you just sow a row and then you let them grow on, and when they get to maybe 4 or 5 inches high, then you can lift them very carefully and put them out into their final places. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, or both. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to hit that little notification bell, and then YouTube will tell you each time I put up a new video just like this. If you saw Hugh Richards' recent video about no rules gardening, you'll know I'm not a huge fan of hard and fast gardening rules. But one of the things that I have learnt recently, and thank you to Steve at Digwell Greenfingers for telling me this, that if you grow onions in with your beans, it can be detrimental to the beans because there's some chemical that's released by the onions that will inhibit the growth of the beans. Well, I didn't learn that until after I had put the onion seeds in here. And these beans, far from me putting them in here this year, I put these ones in 4 years ago. They're doing really nicely. They just come back year after year. And they're a lovely runner bean. I'm really pleased that these come back time and again. And don't forget to keep on sowing herbs like parsley and cilantro, coriander, to give you a continuous supply throughout the year. Here are some summer radishes that were sown about 10 or 12 days ago, and you can carry on sowing radishes at regular intervals. So these are a summer radish, some of them are cherry bell, and some of them are a French breakfast radish. But you can also sow winter radishes now, and these are ones that will grow much larger and they're much slower to develop. So something like red meat or a mouli, they're going to give you that lovely radishy taste during the winter. And you can see next to them there are a few young lettuces here, so these will carry on growing, and then the ones I'm going to sow today will come after those. And right down the length of this bed I've put in alternate rows of carrots and beans, or carrots and lettuces, or carrots and radishes. And I'm doing that to maximise the use of this bed space. The carrots are root crops, so are using the space underground, whereas with the beans all the harvesting action happens above ground. The lettuces will spread out, but I will use those cut and come again, so I will keep removing the outer lettuces and harvesting those. And the radish will be out again within 2 or 3 weeks. So it will then leave space for those carrots to grow on nicely for the rest of the year. I'm still harvesting mulch too from my second sowing. These are snow peas, and they're still very tender and very lovely. But I'm also going to sow some more peas, just a variety called Rondo, not so that I can allow it to grow and have the pods, but for the pea shoots, because They are packed full of pea taste. They're a really nice garnish on top of a meal. I quite like pasta carbonara with a whole pile of pea shoots on top of it, because it just adds something to the taste of the meal. So we can have pea shoots from peas sown now within 3 or 4 weeks. They're really worth doing, and if you have some cover, you can carry on and keep those going right through the winter. Harvesting a few potatoes for lunch, but you can also plant seed potatoes now. If you use a no-dig method, you can harvest the potatoes before the first frosts, and also if you grow them in buckets or in tubs, and you can take them into either a polytunnel or a greenhouse or even your porch, then you can keep them from the frost and you can harvest them for Christmas. Here's another new strawberry bed, yet again more runners from my old strawberries. I've already got radishes in on that side as a quick crop, and here I'm going to grow some spinach. So this is a winter spinach. I'm going to get it in. It's a really good long-standing variety. It's called Medania, and I'm going to broad sow this. So I'm going to put in a row about 6 inches and scatter the seeds across it all the way down, and then I can have the young leaves for salads, and I can let it mature a bit and harvest the larger leaves. Apparently they're great for freezing. I'm not a huge fan of frozen spinach, but I will put it into soups and stews, kind of hide it amongst other food. Spinach seeds are quite large, so you can really see where you're sowing them. And in this packet, they're just loose in the packets. So it's a good job I checked, because I was about to just rip the top of the packet off. So I'm putting those about, I'm just flicking them around in the soil, so there's probably 1.5 to 2 inches between seeds, but I'm not worrying about it too much if I'm not completely accurate with it. Just working it into the soil a little bit so it's covered. I'm not going to worry about watering these in. They've gone on to very moist ground. We've had 24 hours of rain before I've sown them. And we're due rain again tomorrow. So hopefully between the moisture in the ground and the rain that's going to arrive, that will help those seeds start to grow nice and quickly. And just a quick reminder, when you sow seeds, make sure that you label them, or that you make notes somewhere of what you've sown in which area. Because I've been busy saying that these are beetroot, but I'm now thinking they could be purple top Milan turnips. And there's another one that's fine to sow now. So turnips, something like Goldana, purple top Milan. You could get away with snowball. The packet says to the end of July. Our summer has been so cool. We haven't got that fierce, intense heat that we often have in August. So I think you could probably get away with something like snowball as well. So we shall have to wait and see whether these turn out to be radishes or turnips. I'm not sure my recognising the first leaves is good enough to know. So lesson learnt. Reminder to me yet again to label seeds once I've sown them. While I'm deadheading these calendula, I want to tell you about a new channel I've spotted on YouTube called The Weedy Garden.
G'day.
David, whose channel it is a photographer, and his cinematic skills are absolutely amazing. His videography is fabulous, and he really knows his stuff. So far he's only put up one video about how to make soil bacteria, and I'll leave a link for that on the screen and in the description below. I think it's really worth checking out the video, and if you enjoy it, please leave him a comment and encourage him to make some more. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one. And I also hope you'll join me again next time.